but we had quite a few other team members as well. And I'm not sure if I'm mentioning their names.
But so there was a total of about 10 of us that went as part of it. So we all concentrated on the conference, obviously, because that was the main focus of why we were going there. But each of us, either before the conference, which was only a few days, or after the conference, we all branched off into different areas and parts of Japan to do different things and meet up with different people, which was actually quite interesting to see, because we all had our different areas we wanted to reach out to, and we met one through no fault of my own. Well, all right, maybe it was my fault. I left my insulin behind. We were staying at a OMF guest house in Ichikawa, and when we went to the conference, I left my insulin in the fridge at that guest house, which we were coming back to, so I knew that was going to be fine, but it was a couple of days without it. So the doctor on site at the conference helped us get into a local doctor, which that was an experience in itself, but we met up with a pastor called Pastor Harada-san. He has a church in Tokyo, and he was the one that drove us down, because the hotel was quite a distance just out of the local town. And he took me down there with a couple of others, so we had translation and everything to go on. And Greg, he actually went and visited Pastor Harada's church while he was in Japan still, which was not part of his original trip. But so it was just, we were reaching out to so many different areas, and this one here, she got to meet all her Hello Talk friends. Well, not all, because if she did that, she'd be there for years.
But we're kind of going ahead of ourselves. So our main base was the OMF guest house. So you've seen footage of that, and it was quite comfortable. For about half of our holiday, we had separate beds. A lot of times, if you go to different accommodation in Japan, they do definitely segregate men and women. And that was also evident at the conference, unless you specified that you were married and wanted to remain with your significant other.
Significant.
So the guest house for us was quite cozy. We were the only ones with our own shower facility and our own toilet within our room, which was really nice. Yeah. We had a small kitchenette across the way from us. And we also had house slippers. We would have loved to have shown you all that. It was a little tricky to start with for us to keep slipping our shoes off and changing into different shoes and whatnot. But
trick, if you're going to Japan, make sure you buy shoes that are easy to take on and off.
Very important. So Skechers are the best.
Zippered ones, elasticized ones that you can slip on and off. But definitely shoelaces are annoying when you're taking them on and off all the time. Yeah,
if you've got something like a Skechers or a slip-on shoe like that, it's highly recommended to take them. While they weren't strict on us doing it, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So my birthday was the 2nd of May, and then we had significant rain rolling in at Ichikawa. We were at the pre-conference conference, as we mentioned, and we've got a little bit of footage of that. We pretty much in that we sort of had a conversation with not all the delegates, but some of them that are English speaking, about where Japan is going, how we can best serve the returning Japanese, and what the conference itself was going to be about. James alluded to a little bit, but before we actually went to that, we also went to a place called Kichijoji on the 3rd. That was an interesting one, wasn't it, hun? It was we've actually, I'd say we extensively went on a lot of the train lines in Tokyo. I can't say we're experts at it, but the chances of us getting really lost was quite minimal, wasn't it, hun?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hard system if you just take the time to watch, because their platforms are quite well marked, everything's set up. And I will say that I know there's Japanese apps for transport like we have here in Australia, but even Google has gotten a lot better since our last visit to Japan 7 years ago, because you'd put in a destination and it would tell you what entrance or exit to go to, what platform to go to, even what carriage to get on or off for the best entrance and exit from the station. So they've really, really worked on that on the Japanese rail system. So it made it very, very easy, and just the whole system really worked well. I think many other countries could learn a thing or two from the Japanese public transport system, but I'm not going to say too much.
I used my Navitime, and I actually had
We've got our friendly neighbourhood Charlotte coming in, wants to be part of everything.
We had, I also used HoloFly, so I used an eSIM because I had the most up-to-date mobile phone. So it was always good to see how it was going to connect. So a lot of time I was one of the only people that had good connectivity throughout Japan. There was a couple of us that also were fortunate enough to have that. My Navitime app, which is also the Tokyo train system, and that compared to what James had, they did pretty well. They were almost the same, but it doesn't really take into consideration that there were a few train lines that were actually going through some reconstruction.
We actually had a train run late. Ooh, not something you see very often in Japan.
Yeah. So I think a couple of places that we mentioned were a little tricky, but we'll address them in a minute. So we were at a cafe event on the 3rd of May at Kichijoji, which you've seen pictures of. So mainly it was an icebreaker event. So if you know anything about our Instagram pages or what we're collaborating with and part with, involves a lot of food, fun quizzes and games, and lots of healthy discussions, both mainly in English, but there are times that Japanese is permitted because either we don't know the word in Japanese or they can't express it in English. So I had a few Hello Talk friends that came and a couple that couldn't. Kazuo-san, her son came. Kazu and son came along, and we had Keshi and his friend come as well. The good thing is that they're not. The Japanese are not made to stay at these events. They come and go as they please. And I was recovering from a cold because it had rained like buckets in the evening of the second when we had my sort of celebratory birthday. So apart from that, we spent like mornings of devotional with each other as a team. So there was an area that we probably showed you in the guest house where we got up in the morning, sang a few songs, prayed for each other. It was a really nice, cozy time. Everyone came and went as they pleased, as long as when we had to go to these events, we stayed together. So, and then we oh, she's found a fly.
She loves her flies.
Sorry about
she
that,
sees
guys.
a fly buzzing around.
So we on the 4th, which was a Sunday, we went to a church service. So it meant for some of us who weren't coming back, they had to carry all the luggage, which was fun. We didn't carry all our stuff, but we went to a church in Ikebukuro. It was a little challenge getting in and out of the station there a bit. And we had an enjoyable lunch with a good friend of mine who's a field worker from a different denomination, and had lunch with her. And then we headed off to Shinjuku and caught the coach to Fuji Yoshida, which is kind of at the base of Mount Fuji, or Fujisan, I feel like. And that was the conference that James was talking about. It was quite a nice bus ride. We lots of conversation and stuff like that, and the stop place was quite nice, so that was cool. There was a dust and dander warning for Mount Fuji. I can't tell you how big a different distance it is between Evergreen Fuji Hotel in Fuji Yoshida and the actual Mount Fuji. It does look quite close if you've seen the photos.
No! Sorry, she's just getting a little nasty and nippy.
So I don't know why people say Mount Fuji is hard to take photos of. We didn't find that. Maybe we're just lucky. I don't know.
Well, it can be. I mean, the day we got most of the photos, the next day I had plans because there was a nice spot just up from the hotel we were staying at where you could go up and get some amazing views. And I thought, right, I'm going to head up there in the morning, go out for a nice walk. And it was raining and cloudy, and you couldn't see Fuji at all that day. So, yeah, unless you get a clear day, it certainly can be difficult. So
we were lucky enough to get that one day. The conference itself, like we mentioned, we were on the information stall for Melbourne Initiative, which I did the PowerPoint with, and we had photos of both Japanese churches, which was really great. We had lots of people coming by. We got rid of most of the souvenirs and most of the tin tans. So that was really good. Apart from me sneezing like a storm, it was really good. We had some really good speakers talking on a variety of different subjects. And like James said, we did all split out into interest groups, and we also had small groups that we were a part of. I really enjoyed the small groups, but as some of us were from vastly different countries, not necessarily Japan, it's kind of hard to keep in contact. But I've managed to keep contact with one of the people from my small group. And then we said goodbye to all our friends. Only a small handful of us returned to Ichikawa. And we, as you saw, we had some attractions that we went to. Saitomi Park was probably one of the fun ones on our trip. I'm sorry we didn't get into Funabashi Onsen or Tsukiji Fish Market.
But that was fine because when we were at the conference, the hotel there had public baths that you could use, which was really nice. And when we stayed at Hirosaki, when we went up to Aomori, that also had public baths, which we didn't know that hotel had them. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Actually, they're more onsen because public baths means that anybody can go in. These were typical onsens within the hotel. Within the hotels themselves.
So they were nice bonuses to find. That we got to have.
So it was. We did get some rest time, and we did get to spend time. As you've seen, I also spent time with my friend Tomo. And so prior to us going to Aomori, I had met 5 Hello Talk people in the trip and only missed 2. So I think that's pretty good. I still keep in contact with them. It's a little difficult, of course, because Keishi and his friend, they are students, as is Kazu. He's also a student. His mum is a very busy lady. Hiroko, that's right. And so Aomori, that was fantastic. It was, as we predicted, colder than we were used to, because Tokyo and Ichikawa were quite warm. But the Shinkansen is well worth it. Some people say it's a little expensive, but I reckon it's pretty cool.
Honestly, if you want to be totally honest, it is a little expensive. If I was a regular traveller to Japan, I probably wouldn't use the Shinkansen all the time. But it's certainly something to experience, and it's not terribly expensive. It's not like it's 10 times the cost of an air flight or something like that. It's a little bit, if you're going to just go places by plane, it would work out a little cheaper. But it's a lot easier too, because you just go to the station, get on the train, get off. Whereas with an airport, you've got to travel to the airport, you've got to do your check-in and way. So depends on what you prefer. The ease of catching the Shinkansen or the little bit cheaper of catching the plane, that's choice. But if you're only going to get to Japan once or twice in your life, definitely look at doing a trip on a Shinkansen, because it is an experience, and it's amazingly smooth. When it was first heading out of Tokyo, it was sort of a bit more like a normal train, but once we got out and really started going, you didn't realise just how fast and how far we were travelling until you sort of look at the map and go, wow, we're that far already. And so it was a very pleasant experience, especially the return trip, because somebody wanted to book us on the Grand Class, which is first class trains, basically. And, oh, wow, that was next level again. That was really...
I would have to say that if you're going to do Grand Class, probably something a lot longer trip than the 3.5 hour one we did. Word to the wise, if you're actually going to film on the Hayabusa or any of the Shinkansen, just bear in mind that a lot of the time you're going to have to be really quick off the mark to take those pictures, because a lot of the time you have a little bit of view, then a bit of concrete, a little bit of view, and then a concrete. And if you want to watch something on your phone, you could have difficulties with connectivity. So it's just best to chill, relax, and enjoy the train ride.
And and as I said, it was a very nice train ride. Yeah. Very well worth it.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're going to Japan, try to look for it. Try to just go, oh, well, even if you only go for a quick, like 1 day, 2 days, just find somewhere to zoom out from wherever you are and catch the Shinkansen. And,
we found that using a certain website we won't name here was a little bit more costly. There were a couple of other Shinkansen websites that worked a lot better. Word to the wise, you probably should top up on your IC card as well, because you will need to use them in addition to your Shinkansen ticket to get through the gates. It was a little tricky because we weren't sure of how to do it, but once we got used to it, it was perfectly fine. We spent a fantastic time in Aomori. James learned to cook a few things on our final night. As we already said, thank you to Routine Hirosaki Ekimai, which just means it's the hotel in front of Hirosaki Station. 14th floor had the onsen and the laundry, which was very convenient for us. We hardly took any washing home because we had a lot of places that had great laundry facilities and we didn't have much to worry about. So we went to a proper Japanese pub, izakaya, which was I don't know how James felt about the food. It came out lightning quick, and you try.
And not that it wasn't terribly busy when we went there too. Yeah. Like it was early, like probably would have been before 6 o'clock even. So it was probably early for them. There wasn't a lot of people there.
Yep.
It was good. We sort of didn't have to wait a long time for the food, but as this one alluded to about me cooking, one was the second night. We went out to a restaurant where you had the choice, you didn't have to, but you had the option of cooking food on your own table, just using a little butane gas burner. We did takoyaki and egg roll.
Daishi omelette.
And that was all done in little cooking stove, little cooking platforms on your table. They bring it out, just turn it on and leave it for you. And that was quite enjoyable to do something like that. So
shout out to the staff. They were very helpful and helping James learn how to do it.
Got to experience many different things in Japan.
We were so thankful to able to see any cherry blossoms given the time of the year that we were there. But we were fortunate enough to not only see them, but the apple blossoms in bloom in Aomori. I wish I could have seen the apple festival they had on the 10th. So if you do plan to go during Golden Week and that times, the dates will change and they don't take into consideration weekends. So if you're going to do it, make sure you plan that in advance to enjoy it. I highly recommend it. We never saw much in Golden Week because we were in conference. So as far as everyone's saying, it's really busy, we can't tell you because we didn't see it. So we didn't at all. But Hirakawa Megumi Kyokai, which is Hirakawa Grace Church, which Penny runs, is fantastic with the Nakamura family, was fantastic. I sang like never before. So it was like James learned to cook better, I learned to sing better, so that was really good. We had great prayer time with them. We got to know them really well. It's such a shame that we had to go back as early as we did.
One of the fun things we got to experience too, between Hirosaki and Hirakawa? Yeah. We could get there by train, and was a true rural Japanese train. Now, don't envisage something like in Australia when you think of a really old train. Even though these are old trains in Japan and they are used for rural country areas, they're still in very, very good condition. But they would be they'd be 60 years old, I reckon, these trains at least. And the train stations, the station at Hirosaki is a main station, but after that, all the stations between there and Hirakawa were basically a concrete platform with a little shelter. No station master, no station, no nothing. Just literally a platform and a little cover, and that's a country train station in Japan. So it was interesting to see that side of things because you hear a lot about rural Japan. It was good to see that what rural Japan really looks like, because most people, of course, when they want to visit Japan, go to big city areas, big tourist areas. But for us, we like getting out and seeing what the country is we're going to. And it was very interesting just to see the different things, just looking out the windows. And like there was an old steam train that was obviously a display just as we were heading along the track. We see it and we're like, wow, they've just got it there all done up. And so
apparently it's quite famous. So in that part of the world, we didn't get to Maoriwaki or the Apple Park or any of those. We could have spent more time there if we had wanted to. Shout out to Penny and the team. That was so great for them to organise us to be picked up on the Sunday and then again dropped back to the Shinkansen station at Aomori. The last 3 days was Asakusa on the Ginza line. Now that part of the train line, we mentioned that Shinjuku was having some construction. The Ginza line is also under massive construction because that area is very popular with tourists. So they obviously have to update it phenomenally.
Just be aware. Now, as I said, the Japanese train system is amazing, but some of the older, smaller stations are not as accommodating. And I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just, if you're going in and out, not a problem. But when you're carrying heavy suitcases, and the only way out you can find, there's no elevator, there's no escalator, it's all steps and alleyway. It was an interesting, we got to the station that we had to get off at Asakusa, and we were going, oh, where's the exit? Exit this way. Okay, go that way. Oh, I have to go up a few stairs. Cool. All right, go this way. Oh, more stairs. We didn't find a single elevator to get out. We were flights of stairs and flights of stairs, carrying the suitcases, and so it was a fun experience. But I mean, we could have found a way around, I'm sure, but it would have taken a long time around. So it was just easy enough to carry the suitcases. Yeah,
we went through a bargain hotel. If you've seen the Instagram footage of it, you'll know it's very small.
It was small. Like, I know apartments and hotels in Japan can be small, but this room basically fitted the bed and not much else.
Yeah, not much elbow room, unfortunately.
It was, it was a little squishy, but hey, that's not what we were there for.
Yeah, it included breakfast as well. We had a place to have breakfast. We had a place to have laundry. Again, like we said, we didn't have to take much way of laundry back. We met quite a few people. We caught up with Roto, who's on our final day, and my other friend we met at Shinjuku at another pub. So it was it was fantastic to catch up with them, because like all they do is get to talk to me via digital, and it's hard to maintain friendships that way, but I can safely say after all these years, it's been fantastic to be able to see them in person. We had so much omiyagi, well actually miyagi, it's not omiyagi because it's our souvenirs, and we had so much, we had to eat a lot of it, and we also like to thank our daughter Heather for taking back what we couldn't carry.
When she left, because she only came with us she was only in Japan for the first week we were there.
Yeah.
So when she was leaving, her suitcase was fairly full of her merch that she'd been buying, but weight-wise it was well under. So we were able to jam a few of our things into her case to take home, which allowed us a bit more space for the rest of our trip.
Yeah.
Which was good because we did find a few more things along the way, and I found some more merch for her, so she was happy when we got home with all that.
I guess we can say that Akihabara, while we're there on the first and we haven't really alluded to it much, but you've seen the footage, we found Asakusa actually a better place for anime merch if you have a specific niche market, and Akihabara doesn't have it. James was fortunate enough to get Detective Conan or Metante Conan merchandise for Heather, and we'd given up.
The one that was mainly the trading cards. Akihabara's got a ton of stuff, but I did it the day that Julie went and saw Tomo. I spent the day at Akihabara wandering around, and I went into every single card store that I could find, and not one of them had anything to do with Detective Conan. Even some of them had signs out the front and still said, no, we don't have any. And yeah, when we were at Asakusa, we were just like one of their arcade alleyways. Julie was looking for a bag in a bag shop, and I went, oh, there's a little anime shop just across the other side. Walked in there, had a look, and there was whole boxes of the cards sitting on the shelf. So it was just one of those moments and times, and grabbed them and brought them home. And yes, I was very, very well liked for that.
Yeah, so I guess what would we take away our highlights?
Getting there.
There is just so many.
The food.
Yeah, we had no problem. I stretched myself to absolute limit.
Probably my top 10 highlights for Japan was food. I mean, truly, they do have amazing food. And just to be able to experience so much different food. Like, we've got a lot of great Japanese restaurants in Australia and in Melbourne in particular. But when you just go to your real local style places in Japan, it's next level. It's just different to what we experience here. And I could go back and just keep eating food over there for forever. I
totally struggled in Ichikawa because some of the places that had, they actually did the tendon, which was sort of like the crumbed, like the crumb, not karage, which is was fried chicken, but some of the other fried things was way too heavy for me to eat. That was a little bit tricky for me. If you do find the food is a little heavy for you, I suggest even not a big fan of miso, that have, like, James is really good. We went to a kasuri, which is a medicine place. There's another word for it. And they were so helpful. We used voice trial for things we didn't know the words for, which was fantastic. Check out the Japanese apps video if you want to look through our past stuff. And I found soba noodles was really good for calming my stomach, and a lot of green tea. So the only thing I had a difficulty with was finding things to drink. He could have cola anywhere. When I was in Aomori, it was ginger ale. When I was in Ichikawa, it was green tea. When I got to Tokyo, I kind of struggled a little bit because they don't have cappuccino. If you think that they have cappuccino, they do not. No. They do not. There's Tully's and Starbucks in most parts of Japan. But again, that could have skewed more to lattes and coffee, iced coffees or black.
But also, never forget the convenies either. The convenience stores. They have so much amazing food. And especially people that have watched maybe anime will have seen this to a degree. Convenies, even supermarkets, they have a lot of bento stuff, just whole fridge shelves and stuff of it. And after a certain time of night, they just start marking it all down. Yeah. And you can pick up like a whole meal that will only cost you a few dollars. And you can even, if you want, you can pick them up to eat the next day. Yeah. So if you're looking at a cheap way to eat in Japan, if you're trying to do something on a budget, trust me, it's not like junk food. It's real proper Japanese food, and it's just in bentos and little display boxes and stuff, and you can eat quite reasonably out of those, out of convenies and supermarkets. So
we also did the bento near before we took the Shinkansen, and this was a recommendation from Chris Broad, because we are big fans of his. So We actually did a little bit of a cruisy around some of the shops in front of the Shinkansen. And the bento boxes, even though that the footage I tried to show you guys didn't end up it ended up being in the cutting room floor. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was
really
funny
good.
because I didn't realise till we got in there is where the gateways through to the Shinkansen area were. There's just this whole range of shops, and they're all just selling bentos, which is all right. Some people would just be buying them because they're still passing through the same area to catch other train lines to go to work and things like that. But it's also because when you're going on the Shinkansen, you're going to be on there for a few hours potentially. So it's your snack to take on the train, because unless you've paid for a meal, like you're in ground class or something like that, you don't have anything to eat. So just all these shops have bentos all set up, and you can pick what you want and take them on the train with you.
Yeah, so we had a fantastic experience. I think the only thing, if you have health conditions, do your research on airlines. Some airlines are not necessarily all that friendly when it comes to health conditions, whether it's whether it's you have to take medication on the plane for some reason or another. We always very careful about that, but as much as we planned this thing and it worked out pretty well, that was kind of one of the things was completely out of our control.
And I will say this, and I'm not trying to say this to be dishonest or be conniving or sneaky or anything, but if you have health conditions and if you've got medications, and obviously I'm talking, you've got your prescriptions, you've got, like I always take a letter from the doctor to say these are the medications I have to have. So if they ask me why I've got them, there's my proof. But from the experiences we've had in the last few years of flying, I would say don't even tell the airline unless there's a real need that you have to tell them something. Don't even bother telling them, because it seems to cause more trouble. Especially if there's a language barrier and you're trying to explain something. So, like, I had insulin which should have been refrigerated, but we were having issues with that. So I just got myself a cool bag, and I got cold drinks or ice block before we head out of the airport, put it in there, and I had no issues with my insulin that way. So yeah, really just, unless you have a real need that the airline must know something about your health condition, and I'm sure there are obvious reasons for that, just don't bother, because it causes too much trouble. We nearly missed our flight at one point because of that. They were talking about Julie's health condition as a disease, which it's not. Sometimes it's, as long as you're doing everything right, you've got your medications, you've got your letter and your notice, just get on the plane, and if they ask anything, show them the letter.
Anyway, guys, sorry for the length of this video, but we felt we needed to treat you because we haven't done many videos of recent times. Our next video probably will be something along the cooking line. I don't know what it is. If you've got any suggestions, do please leave a comment. No, do leave a comment below this video what you would like to see us cook. We've done that. Maybe sushi, maybe ramen, maybe something along those lines. We're still in
instant ramen.
We're still in really cold conditions here. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe. We're on Facebook, and of course you're watching us on YouTube and Instagram. And we do reach out to certain people on WhatsApp. In specific circumstances. So from all of us here at Connecting Japan, ciao Martini, and have a good one. Stay warm if you're in Australia.